and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked for this week, and what we'll do is we'll go through these just briefly, we'll go through them in a little bit more detail, and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right we have the Visconti Divina Desert Springs, we have a Visconti Divina Typhoon Blue, we have a Visconti Divina Elegance Green and a Visconti Divina Elegance Brown. We have a Visconti Divina Metropolitan, and this is a stacked celluloid edition. We have a Monte Grappa Extra 1930 Shiny Lines Dove. We have an Omos Ogiva Cocktail Blue Angel. We have a Conway-stewart, and this is the Churchill Red Stardust. And we have a Leonardo Mediterraneo, and we have a Leonardo in the Hawaii. So let's go through these pens in a little bit more detail. We have this stunning Visconti Divina Desert Springs. This is a beautiful material. It really actually is beautifully stunning. If I zoom in a little bit here, you'll see this really is a beautiful material. It is a celluloid material, and there wasn't a lot of this celluloid available from Visconti as I understand it. They bought this celluloid up, and there was a very restricted amount. There have been a few smaller limited edition Homo sapiens done since, but this is the Divina, and it's a beautiful pen. I do like this a lot. It has the hook safe lock mechanism on it, has a 23 cap palladium nib, and in terms of the size in my hand, you'll see there that it is a very long pen. The only downside with this pen is that it has a captured converter, so you have to basically pull this knob out and then you twist left or anti-clockwise or clockwise to empty and fill the pen. But this really is a lovely celluloid. It's a very light pen. You can post the cap. It doesn't post securely and is a little bit back weighted, so I don't like posting this, and I don't normally post my caps. But for me, this is a really lovely pen, and I do like it. It does also come with the Visconti My Pen system finial there, so you can swap it out for gemstones or your initials. But this is a beautiful, stunning pen with the hook safe lock mechanism. There you go, and it's just a beautiful pen there. So for me, this is a great pen. And then we have again another one. Now, a lot of people get a little bit confused and think that this is the Visconti Divina Blue Elegance, and this isn't. It's the Typhoon Blue, and it has a little bit more of a Typhoon black sort of swirl going on in the body over what the Blue Elegance would have. Again, it's a really nice sized pen, comes with the Visconti My Pen finial there. It has the bridge clip, hook safe lock mechanism, 23 cap palladium medium nib, and again it is a captured converter. It has these lovely steel rods going through it, which is what the Desert Springs didn't have. Actually, I say steel, it's silver. The actual silver rods. But it's a beautiful pen, and I do like writing with it a lot. So for me, that is, again, a pen that I have inked up this week. And then we have this one, and again, it's another Visconti Divina. But this is the Elegance Green. And this I loved when I saw it, and this was the first pen that I actually bought from Chris at True Fay, because this pen really was a stunning green, and you can see there that chatoyance going on. Now, I believe that most of these are resin, so I think the Typhoon Blue is more of a resin, and so is this. I'm pretty sure it's not celluloid, although some retailers do announce it as being celluloid. Certainly the Desert Springs is a celluloid, but this I'm pretty sure is not a celluloid. But it's beautiful. It has this bronze trim going on. You can see there again with the bronze strips going throughout. And again, it's a hook safe lock mechanism, 23 cat palladium nib, and it just feels really nice in my hand. And unfortunately it does have that captured converter, but for me that is a really nice pen to write with. And then we have the Visconti Divina Elegance in the brown, and this looks a little bit more black, although under the studio lights I'm hoping you can see the brown coming out more there, but unless it's under really bright lights you're not going to see that brown as much. But again, good sized pen, 23 cat palladium medium nib, and you have these silver rods going through them, captured converter. But again, it's just, I do like these Divina models. These were, I think I bought my Desert Springs after my London Fog, and then I was on a crusade to get some more of these Divinas, and then I picked up the Typhoon Blue, and I think it was the Elegance Green after that, and then the brown. And then I picked up this one, which this was a present for me. I didn't buy this, but this was from a very close friend, and I do like this a lot. It's the Visconti Divina Metropolitan. Now, it's a bit of a shame. I think everybody that owns one of these says the same thing, that they wish that Visconti did this in the oversized material. But I think there was a lack of that material, and I have a feeling that maybe they couldn't quite do it because of the requiring of the facets, that it just maybe wasn't a thick enough or girthy enough material, perhaps. I'm not sure. But I do love this pen. I love it a lot. It's a beautiful stacked celluloid, and I love the way that you've got the silver rods going through that to accentuate that even more. It is a smaller pen though, so the section is very narrow and very small, but it's quite still a nice size. I don't post my pens, but I do get that around the right way. I do post this one a little bit more, so I find that this tends to be feel a little bit better in my hand if I do post that cap. But typically I don't post caps. Again, it's a 23 cat palladium nib. This is a broad nib, but it's a number 5 nib, not a number 6 nib. So it is a much smaller nib, but it doesn't disappoint me. It's a beautiful writer. And then we have another stacked celluloid, and this is the Montegrappa Extra 1930 Shiny Lines Dove. And this is a Goulet exclusive version of the pen, and I do love this pen a lot. It's starting to tarnish a little bit, the silver accents here, the cap band and the clip. I probably will polish that up soon. I keep meaning to and I keep forgetting. I think I probably will polish that back up again so it comes back to a shine, because I do prefer silver when it's more shiny looking. But this is a piston filling pen, not like the others that were captured converters. This is a screw cap. It has a number 8 size nib here, and this is a Montegrappa Dove nib, and it's a beautiful nib. Doesn't look like a number 8 size nib because it does actually go into the section a little bit deeper, but it is a beautiful writer. So I do like that. It's good in the size of my hand. It's a good weight. It's a piston filler, and it holds about 1 milliliter of ink. So I can't really grumble there. It's a good capacity of ink. Then we have the Omas, and this is an Ogiva, and it is a Cocktail Blue Angel, and it has this like ribbed effect going on there throughout the body. It's an Ogiva size pen, but it's a pen that I love a lot, and I got this from a friend, and I do like it. It has a 52 degree nib there, and you'll see what a 52 degree nib writes with if you haven't already. But it's a piston filling pen. It fills up to about here once you've got ink in, so about 1 milliliter of ink. You never normally on a lot of piston fillers get it filling all the way up to the top. And then we have a Conway-stewart Churchill, and this is the Red Stardust. And when I saw this pen available, this was made not by Conway-stewart, but by all of the parts left over from the demise of Conway-stewart, made by Bespoke British Pens. And I bought this up when I did, and it sold out very, very quickly. And I have actually just noticed more recently, December 2019, they decided to make another version of this as a Christmas pen. And it's a beautiful material. I do love it a lot. It comes with a Bock number 6 size nib on there. It's a cartridge converter, and as much as I sometimes hate cartridge converters because they don't hold enough ink, or I have to keep refilling them, it also makes it a lot more easier to clean out. And this is quite a weighty pen. It has a brass cylinder inside the body, just to add a little bit more weight to it, but it's a beautiful, beautiful material. So I do like this pen a lot. So I have that inked up, and then we have a couple of pens here, and this is the Leonardo Mediterraneo. Now officially this is a Leonardo Officina Italiana Momento Zero Mediterraneo. I just shorten it to Mediterraneo because it's a bit of a mouthful. But this is a celluloid material, and it's a stunning material. And it's a beautiful, like blue waves, blue ocean waves there, or sort of waves along the beach. Now, it's a celluloid material. It's also a piston filling pen, and it has a 14 karat gold nib here. So that nib is a little bit more expensive. So these are not the cheaper version of the Momento Zeros, but I do like that pen a lot, and I was so glad I was able to pick that up. As with a lot of my pens in the last couple of years, I picked it up at the London Pen Show, and that was from Stefano at Stilograph Corsani, and that was his first visit to the London Pen Show as a seller. And then we have this pen, and this is again a lovely pen. It's a Leonardo. And if I'm going to give it the full name, it's Leonardo Officina Italiana Momento Zero Hawaii. And this, again, is a beautiful pen. And I had to pick this up from him as well, because this was a really nice pen. And the story behind this pen was, I saw this when I bought this pen from Stefano, but I'd already spent a lot of money. So I decided I was going to leave this pen. And then remorse set in, and I regretted it for at least 6 months, if not longer. So when it came round to the next London Pen Show, I said to Stefano, "Do you still have any of these Hawaiis left?" And he said, "Sure, I do. What nib do you want?" And I told him to bring one with him, and he brought a number, and I got this one. And strangely enough, one of my friends, Gary, also bought one as well. He was putting his hands on this one, and Stefano said, no, this is Dave's pen. So I got the pen that I think looks a little bit nicer, because I said to Stefano ahead of time, I said, can you please find one that has a really lot of like beach effect going on in the body and in the cap. And I think he did well to pick that out of his store there. So I'm really glad that I was able to pick that one up as well. So that's the 10 pens that I have currently inked this week. I think let's go and do a writing sample with all of these pens now. So the first pen we have here is the Visconti. So let's do an ink swatch first. Now this is a medium nib, so it's quite a wet nib. It's not the wettest nib that I have by far, but it's a medium nib, and this writes more like a Western medium and not a Visconti medium, I would say. So this is the Visconti Divina Desert Spring. I think it's maybe an S, may not be an S, and it's a medium 23 cat palladium nib. And then the ink in here is Pilot Iroshizuku, and it's Sutsuji. And that is a beautiful pink ink that I do love a lot. And it's an ink that I always keep going back to. But I have very few pens inked up with that ink, and it really tends to only be the Divina that I have inked up with that one. The next pen, again, is another Visconti, and it's a Divina. So, we'll do an ink swatch on this one. And again, this is a medium nib, so it writes uncharacteristically like, because most Visconti medium nibs tend to write more like a broad western, but this writes more like a medium western. So this is a Visconti Divina, and it's the Typhoon Blue, and it's a medium 23 cat palladium nib, and the ink in here is Blackstone, and it's Barrier Reef, which is a lovely blue ink that does have sometimes a little bit of a sheen on. You tend to see it more on Tomoe River paper, I would say, than this paper, although this is Oxford Optic paper, so it's not a bad paper to sheen. And then we have this pen, and again another Divina. So let's do an ink swatch, and this really is a beautiful ink. So this is the Visconti Divina, and this is the Elegance Green, and it is a medium, again 23 cat palladium nib, and then the ink in here is a beautiful green. It's Diamine Meadow, and I love how this ink shades massively. So that's a pen that I have been writing with a lot this week. And then we have the Divina in the Elegance Brown. So let's do an ink swatch on this. And you'll see here that this, because brown inks tend to be a little bit more on the drier side, this also is a very dry writing nib. This is the Visconti Divina, and it's the Elegance Brown. And it's a medium 23 cat palladium nib. And I did have to open these tines up a number of times because this pen was writing very dry, almost like a fine nib, so I had to open these tines up a little bit more. But the ink in here is Jeherben Lee de Tay, and that is a beautiful brown ink that I like a lot. And Lee de Tay is basically tea leaves in French. And then we have this beautiful stacked celluloid pen. So we'll do an ink swatch here, and you can see why I love this. It's a beautiful wet writing nib. So this is the Visconti Divina, and you can see I'm not posting the cap on this, and it actually feels quite nice, although sometimes I do post it. And this is the Metropolitan, and this is a broad 23 cat palladium nib, and then the ink in here is Lamy Pink. But that is a beautiful writing nib, and my only issue with that pen is that it runs out of ink far too quickly, normally within about a page of A4, but it's a pen that I really, really do love writing with. And then we have the Montegrappa. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And this is quite a wet nib, but it is a medium nib. So it's the Montegrappa Extra 1930 Shiny Lines Dove, and it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Earl Grey, and that's one of the grey inks that I like a lot. So I've been writing with that a lot this week. And then we have the 52 degree nib, and the reason why it's called 52 degree is because of the angle it's ground, the nib tipping is ground at. But this writes like a fat marker. Look at this. And it's not a practical writer, especially not in a journal or a notebook, but I do love writing with this. So this is the Omas, and just look at that, it's more like a triple board Omas, and it's the Ogiva. I've got to try and write a little bit larger and space my letters out a bit more, and it's a Blue Angel, but it is a lovely nib, and it's a 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Pelican Edelstein Sapphire. But that is a lovely ink. I do love that ink. And then we have the Conway-stewart. So this is, we'll do an ink swatch first. I'm always surprised at how light or how pale this red ink is. So this is a Conway-stewart Churchill Red Stardust in the medium 18 karat gold nib, and the ink in here is quite simply Lamy Red, and that always surprises me because I always think it's going to be a much darker red, but it's not. It's actually quite a pale red. And then we have the Leonardo. So this, we'll do an ink swatch, but this is a beautiful, beautiful writing nib. It writes more like a Western medium. So it's the Leonardo, I'm going to abbreviate this to Momento Zero. And this is the Mediterraneo. And it is a medium, and it's a 14 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Robert Oster, and it's Australian Sky Blue. But that is one of my favourite light inks, or I should say light blue inks. And then last but not least, we have this, again it's another Leonardo, and let's do an ink swatch. Now this is a broad nib, and to be honest, I'd have to say I prefer the broad nibs a little bit more on the Leonardos, although sometimes the medium nibs can be nice writers as well. So this is a Leonardo, And this is, again, I'm going to abbreviate it just to Momento Zero. Leave off the Officina Italiana. And this is the Hawaii. And this is a resin. It is a broad. And it's a steel nib. But it writes really lovely. And then the ink in here is Pelikan, Edelstein, Sapphire, which does look quite a bit different actually between these two pens, but it's really down to how much of that ink it's putting down on paper. So let's just go through the pens inked up one more time. We have a Visconti Divina Desert Springs in a medium 23 karat palladium nib inked up with Pilot Iroshizuku Satsuji, a Visconti Divina Typhoon Blue in a medium 23 karat palladium nib inked up with Blackstone Barrier Reef. We have a Visconti Divina Elegance Green in a medium 23 karat palladium nib inked up with Diamine Meadow. We have a Visconti Divina Elegance Brown in a medium 23 karat palladium nib inked up with Jeherburn Lidete. We have a Visconti Divina Metropolitan in a broad 23 karat palladium number 5 sized nib inked up with Lamy Pink. We have a Montegrappa Extra 1930 Shiny Lines Dove with a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have an Omas Ogiva Cocktail Blue Angel in a 52 degree 18 karat gold nib inked up with Pelikan Edelstein Sapphire. We have a Conway-stewart Churchill Red Stardust in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Lamy Red. We have a Leonardo Momento Zero Mediterraneo in a medium 14 karat gold nib inked up with Robert Oster Australian Sky Blue. And last but not least, a Leonardo Momento Zero Hawaii with a broad steel nib inked up again with Pelikan Edelstein Sapphire. So there you have it. That's my currently inked pens for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.